No, thank you very much, Chair of Chairs. So National Chair of the EFF, I was saying to you now that I find it very difficult to find anything coherent said by the Chief Whip of the Majority Party. I guess it's largely a reflection of a generation of the Congress Youth League, which majority of them are not clear in terms of articulating anything. So let's then deal with certain issues. And maybe so that because children watch this parliament, let's deal with the conceptual issues quickly about the organization of African unity and the African Union. So despite the fact that we're celebrating the 60th anniversary of the OAU, its founding principles were problematic because it was about cooperation instead of integration of the African continent. Against the advice of Ahmed Ben Bella, against the advice of Kwame Nkrumah, against the advice of Sokoto, against the advice of Emperor Haile Selassie. And we are still suffering as the African continent because we did not pursue the integration route. We took the cooperation route in terms of how we get to collectively develop the African economy. I think that settles this issue of whether there is common founding principles of the OAU and the African Union. We still should purposefully pursue integration of the entire African continent with one army, one currency, one central bank, and a common infrastructure that is going to interconnect the entire continent. That is what we should deal with. I just thought that maybe from an instructive point of view, we should educate the former treasurer of the Congress Youth League. Then the issue that we want to take this opportunity to once again send our best wishes to the councillors of the EFF who have been now joining government in the metropolitan municipalities of Johannesburg, of eThekwini, of Nelson Mandela Bay, of Ekurhuleni, the city of Ekurhuleni, and of course, those that have just been confirmed in the district municipalities of Mogale City and the Western District, that since their occupation of office, they've thus far demonstrated that we were correct when we said 10 years ago that we are a government in waiting. We're government now. We're in charge of your lives in many parts. Majority of you stay in cities which are governed and overseen by the economic freedom fighters. We have successfully reduced the former liberation movement into a rural party when we're in control of strategic sectors of the economy in terms of what happens. And that is what we do, excel in that. We reduce you first into a rural party, and next day we're going to completely take you out when we defeat you in the upcoming elections. We're encouraged by the young people in universities and universities of technology.
Honorable Shivambu, Honorable Shivambu, may I just appeal to the members in the House that while interjections are allowed, not ongoing commentary is allowed. So please just observe the rule, please. Please proceed.
Chair, please don't protect me, I'm fine.
Simply applying the rules. I'm applying the rules, Honorable Member. Please proceed.
Please don't.
Order. Order, Honorable Members. Order. Order.
In perspective, in terms of what we're dealing with, I don't need the protection for now. We'll let you know if we do need the protection. We're encouraged by young people from universities and universities of technology. We're already operating on the clarion call that 2024 will be our 1994. So young people in all the universities, in different communities, in what level? In Komazi. In Fatengten, so where the Commander-in-Chief is speaking today, in Ward 17 in Dihlabing, the young people, their generation is saying that 2024 is going to be our 1994. We're going to liberate our people far much more emphatically. not the clownish things that have been happening since 1994. Now, we have, as the EFF, not been participating in an activity where the sole director of Ntabanyoni estate, which owns Palapala farm, appears in, because of the report which this parliament rejected. That report, the independent panel report, said that there is prima facie evidence that Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa may have committed a serious violation of Section 96(2)(a) of the Constitution, a serious violation of Section 34(1) of the Prevention of Corruption Act, that he might have committed a serious misconduct in that he violated possibly Section 96(2)(b) of the Constitution by acting in a way that is inconsistent with his office. A serious misconduct in that the president violated Section 96(2)(b) of the Constitution by exposing himself to a situation involving conflict between the official responsibilities and his private business. That report, which is not challenged anywhere, there is no counter perspective about that report. There is not even an intention to invalidate it. It says that as the panel, they view that there was a deliberate purpose to not report the crime and to establish as to just what happened in Palapala. And that there was a deliberate intention not to investigate the commission of those crimes. And that the request of the Namibian police to handle the matter with discretion confirms this intention, that the president abused his position as head of state to have the matter investigated and seeking the assistance of the Namibian president to apprehend a suspect. And that report, which is not disputed by anyone, says that there was more foreign currency concealed in the sofa, more than the amount reflected in the acknowledgement of receipt. Speaker, we have written to you already that let us get a proper inquiry. Let us deal with this. Let's confront it. We can't hide it under the sofa forever. Let us deal with it. Also, you're not going to be in office forever. It will be, just confront your sins and demons now. So that we deal, this issue of Palapala is not going to disappear. We are still here. So we must have to then deal with all of these issues in a much more comprehensive and clear way. Your interventions thus far, despite you like applauding each other and patronizing each other about electricity, you still have not come with a believable and clear plan, all of you, in terms of what should happen. When we debated SONA, we said that the immediate solution, which you rejected then, was to plug in the floating storage regasification units and the power stations that, of course, are powered by that. And we then said that the delays in plugging in the floating power stations is because there's no conclusion on the negotiations for bribes. I hear now that you are going to plug that because the person who owns Tony House has got now exposure to the car power ship deal that is going to bring the 1,250 megawatts into South Africa. And we know who that is. In the beginning of this year, we as the leadership of the EFF went to Mozambique to meet with Electricidade de Mozambique, which is the equivalent of ESCOM in Mozambique, to engage about the surplus energy which Mozambique has. We see that now recently the minister went there after we had engaged in enhanced discussions because already we're going to utilize the power purchasing agreement power which we have as the members of the mayoral committee in the city of Ekurhuleni, and now recently in the Nelson Mandela Bay. We're going to utilize that purchasing power to bring in the surplus electricity from Mozambique, but also invest in other strategic sectors of what should happen. And without just theorizing, we met with Rosatom from the Russian Federation to talk about the nuclear option, because as part of the long-term interventions, we need to commission not less than 6,000 megawatts of nuclear energy, which must be plugged into the grid, because ourselves we speak long term, because we know that even in 30 years' time, we're going to be in charge of this country. And we want an industrialized economy that has got full electricity in terms of what happens. We have been in engagement with all the strategic role players, including the people who are exposed to ESCOM. So the solutions, Minister Sputla, the dancing minister, our solutions extend to even the technical and mechanical capacity to resolve what are the current crises in ESCOM, in all the units and all the power stations. We do not, of course, have political power currently. But if we were to take political power tomorrow, we will take sound and proper political decisions that are going to restore energy and electricity in South Africa. Because we are not under an illusion, none whatsoever, that you can solve South Africa's problems when you are diverting from coal. Coal is the only dependable source currently of energy, of course, with nuclear. Solar PVs are not an on-grid solution. You must get that into your head. They don't teach that in civil engineering, which you are aware of. But solar and wind, there's not a single renewable energy source in South Africa which has got an energy availability factor above 30%. Not a single all these grids, all these bid windows that you have been signing of solar, they are not giving electricity. You are just distributing money of ESCOM to them. We have to purposefully revive all the units, the more than 50,000 megawatts that are going to be coming from ESCOM must be revived into full operation. Then we'll have electricity. Not these games that you're doing of talking English every day when there's no clear perspective of what is going to happen. We are the only party that is going to restore stability in this country. Everything else that is happening under this administration points the negative. The levels of unemployment is the highest. For the first time in South Africa, the labor force, more than 50% of the labor force of people who are capable of working are not working. So they fall in the categories of unemployed, unemployable, discouraged work seekers, but also those who are not in education and training. So of the 30 or 30.1 million people in that labor force component, you have got more than 16 million that are not doing anything. But and you still have people who come and applaud a president. No, president, everything else is fine. And you have got a chief whip who just talks as if there's nothing wrong. And you guys give her the highest applause for praising absolute rubbish. What nonsense is this? What are we dealing with here? What are we dealing with? What are we dealing with in this counter? There are so many things like, how do you have more than 6,000 people killed in 3 months? We are competing with the conflict in the necessary intervention in the Ukraine and Russia situation because of the murder cases without a clear plan that is coming from this government. I was supposed to leave 6 minutes for you, National Chair. Now it's 2.3 minutes. Please come and respond to them because I know some of them are going to go via off. Thank you very much.